You know that feeling, right? You pick up your phone for like just a second, maybe check one thing, and then suddenly, whoosh, an hour, maybe 2 hours, it's just gone, vanished. You look up kind of dazed and wonder, wait, where did that time even go? Or maybe it's that little itch.
Yeah.
Got to check one more thing before you turn the lights out, even though you know you need sleep. That screen just pulls you back in.
Yeah, I mean, that's something most of us know, right? And, well, definitely not an accident. These platforms, especially the big social media ones, they aren't just, engaging. They're built, really meticulously engineered to grab our attention and just not let go.
Exactly. And that's really what we're digging into today on the deep dive. We want to pull back the curtain, really unpack how these digital spaces are so specifically designed to keep us hooked. We're talking about something researchers are actually calling addiction by design. This whole deep dive is about understanding those hidden gears, the mechanisms behind that feeling of being constantly drawn back.
Right. We've spent a good amount of time looking at some really compelling research, stuff from top experts in human-computer interactions, psychology, even tech law. And this isn't just like theory or someone's opinion. It's based on some pretty rigorous analysis of how the biggest players operate those very large online platforms, or VLOPs, the ones with at least 45 million active users.
Okay, so to really get how we get hooked, we probably need to understand the basic setup first, this whole attention economy thing.
That's the foundation, yeah. Basically, in the attention economy, your time, your attention, that's the product. It's the most valuable thing. Yeah. So these platforms have this huge incentive to maximize the time you spend there. The longer you stay, the more ads they can show you. And critically, the more data they can scoop up about you, your habits, what you like, what you don't like.
Right. It's like a feedback loop then. They watch what we do, figure out how to keep us there longer.
Exactly. And they're constantly testing things, A/B testing different layouts, different notifications, all to juice up metrics like time on task or click-through rates or how long your session lasts. Every single tap, every scroll, it's a data point feeding back into the system. And what the research really highlights is that these engagement-prolonging designs, EPDs they call them, they aren't just little nudges. They often create this fundamental conflict of interest. The platform's goal more engagement directly clashes with what might be best for you. It can chip away at your autonomy, push out other things you wanted to do, and slowly kind of reshape your life without you even noticing.
Wow. That conflict of interest, it sounds pretty serious for adults, but I'm guessing it's even more concerning for younger users, kids and teens.
Oh, absolutely. Kids and teens are especially vulnerable. Research clearly shows they have less inhibitory control. They find it harder to resist these things, and they're just more susceptible to manipulative designs in general. This isn't just theory either. It's why we're seeing legal action, proposed laws popping up globally. The EU is pushing for specific rules about addictive design for minors. The UK's got its online safety bill. Even the White House has put out recommendations focused on reducing problematic use by young people. There's a real growing frustration.
Okay, so the big question, the burning question then, is how? How exactly do they manage to keep us glued to our screens? The research seems to lay out these 4 main strategies these VLOPs use, often mixing them together, right?
That's right, 4 master strategies. And yeah, they often work in concert. The first one is pressuring users. These are designs that basically create fake obligations or a sense of urgency that isn't really there.
Huh, like digital peer pressure. What's an example we might see every day?
Well, think about LinkedIn. Nudging you to congratulate someone on a work anniversary, or Snapchat with its streaks, that little flame icon that makes you feel you have to interact every single day, or you'll break the chain, or even just notifications saying your followers miss you. It creates this subtle social pressure, this feeling like you owe the platform something.
Oh, yeah. And those interfaces that try to make you feel guilty. I think Booking.com does that. If you try to delete your account, it asks, is this goodbye? Like it's a person you're abandoning. And ephemeral content like Instagram stories vanishing after 24 hours, that creates serious FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, makes you check back constantly. It really does feel like manufactured anxiety.
Exactly. That's a perfect example of fabricated time pressure. And then you've got platform manufactured tasks too. Sometimes it's explicit, like rate this app or check your in-app notifications. Other times it's implicit, like just clearing those little red notification badges. They all make you feel like there's a job to be done, something you need to complete on the platform.
Okay, so that's pressuring, making us feel obligated or rushed. What's the second strategy?
The second one is enticing users. This is all about pulling you in with pleasure, curiosity, rewards. This is where classic psychology really gets weaponized. Platforms use what are called reinforcement schedules. They offer rewards, maybe free items in a game, tokens, or just likes on your post, but on unpredictable schedules. Think of a slot machine. You get small wins often, maybe some near misses, keeps you pulling that lever. Apps do the same thing. Daily login bonuses, badges for engagement, status levels.
That unpredictability, yeah, that makes sense. Like a digital slot machine constantly promising a potential win. But what does that do to us psychologically, always chasing that next little hit?
Well, it can create this constant state of seeking, you know? Your brain gets wired to anticipate the next reward, making it harder to stop. And then there are the curiosity teasers, little glimpses of something off screen, or see who viewed your profile prompts, promises of better deals if you just look a little longer. You see these a lot in those notifications, designed to pull you back into the app after you've left.
And what about that feeling that the app just knows what you want to see? Even the stuff you might not admit you want to see, the guilty pleasures.
Yes. That's tailoring content to, well, base or hyper-personalized pleasures. The algorithm delivers stuff it thinks you'll find irresistible. It might start broad lines, maybe sexual images, violent clips, whatever. But through relentless A/B testing and analyzing your reactions, it gets incredibly fine-tuned to your specific triggers, makes it really hard to look away. And lastly, under enticing, there's social quantification, counting likes, followers, profile views on LinkedIn, friendship scores on Snapchat, creator metrics on TikTok. It taps directly into our need for social approval, for validation. Makes us want to create more, check back constantly, see how we measure up.
Okay, this is getting intense. Pressuring, enticing. The third strategy sounds even darker, trapping users. That sounds pretty blunt, like they're actively trying to prevent us from leaving.
That's essentially it. Designs that make it deliberately hard to stop using the app, or to follow through if you decide you want to stop. A key tactic here is what researchers call navigational fog.
Navigational fog. I think I know what you mean. Like when you're just trying to find the log out button or change a setting, and it feels like you're lost in a maze.
Exactly. Confusing menus, unclear wording, making you click through multiple screens for simple actions. Like logging out of TikTok can apparently take 5 steps, buried deep in settings, but logging in, 1 click. Or sometimes they just flood you with irrelevant stuff, mixing the good bits with junk, so you have to wade through it all. It makes leaving feel like too much effort.
So super easy to get in, surprisingly hard to get out. Makes sense. What about things you're sort of forced to do?
That falls under obligatory engagement. Think about those video ads on Snapchat you have to watch before you can see the content you actually wanted. Or sponsored stories on Instagram mixed in with your friends' updates that you can't easily skip. Or, like on LinkedIn, instead of one simple switch to turn off all notifications, you have to go through and manually opt out of every single type of notification individually. It's designed to be tedious, so you just give up.
Ugh, yeah. And persistent interfaces, are those the things that sort of follow you around?
Precisely. UI elements that stick with you or pop back up even when you're trying to disengage. TikTok's picture-in-picture video is a great example. It keeps playing in a little window even if you switch apps. Or YouTube continuing a video audio even after you've left the app. Booking.com bringing back searches you looked at days ago, nudging you, still interested. They cling to your past actions, trying to pull you back in.
Okay, so we've got pressuring, enticing, trapping. It really does sound like a multi-pronged attack on our ability to just stop. Is there a final strategy, maybe something a bit more subtle?
There is, and it's arguably quite insidious because it's so low-key. The fourth strategy is lulling users.
Right.
This is all about designs that are low friction, automated.
Oh, I am definitely guilty of that. Mindlessly scrolling and suddenly realizing I've watched 3 videos I didn't even consciously choose to play. My brain just sort of checks out.
That's the design working exactly as intended. Another tactic is auto-populated fields. Platforms pre-filling text boxes, offering one-click suggested replies like TikTok's emojis, or suggested searches on Amazon or Instagram based on trends or your past behavior. It just reduces the mental effort needed to engage. And then, of course, the classic infinite scroll.
Ah, yes. The never-ending feed. That feels like the ultimate lulling technique.
It really is. Endlessness and relatedly visual overwhelm. Just a constant, bottomless stream of content. Bright, saturated graphics all competing for your eye. Platforms like YouTube or AliExpress just bombard you with thumbnails and options, almost numbing you to the sheer volume. And closely related are those seamless transitions into sponsored content,
where the ads just kind of blend in.
Exactly. They make it really smooth to go from content made by people you follow straight into an ad or influencer content, often without a clear signal or break. Snapchat sliding you from your friend's story right into a public figure's sponsored story. Facebook and YouTube weaving ads directly into your feed so you barely notice the shift. It keeps the flow going, keeps you lulled.
Wow. It's genuinely unsettling when you lay it all out like that. How deeply these designs tap into our basic psychology. It feels like they've really done their homework on how our brains work.
They absolutely have. I mean, these EPDs aren't random. They're rooted in well-established psychological principles. Take flow, for example, that state where you're so immersed you lose track of time. These designs encourage that to keep you engaged longer. Or the endowment effect and mere exposure effect. Basically, the more time you invest in something online, or even just the more you're exposed to an app, the more you value it and the harder it is to walk away.
So, like, if I've spent ages building up my profile or game character, I feel more attached and less likely to quit, even if I'm not really enjoying it anymore, because of the time I've put in.
Precisely that. Yeah. And then there's social pressure and FOMO, fear of missing out. We talked about that with ephemeral content, but also things like read receipts, those little check marks on WhatsApp. They create this expectation of a quick reply, keeping you tethered. And the likes, the follower counts, that's social reward and comparison. Getting likes triggers reward centers in our brain, making us want more, but constantly comparing ourselves to others online, that can really tank self-esteem. And one more, the Zeigarnik effect. That's the brain's tendency to remember unfinished tasks. Games use this all the time with super hard levels or making you wait for lives to refill. It makes you want to come back, maybe even pay just to finish it.
Okay, and this is where it gets potentially even more powerful, right?
Right.
The role of artificial intelligence in all this.
Oh, absolutely. AI and machine learning act like a massive amplifier for all these techniques. Sophisticated recommender systems learn your patterns, your preferences, your vulnerabilities with incredible speed and precision. They hyper-personalize the content and the nudges. There are actually brain scan studies showing that personalized content, like tailored TikTok videos, can trigger stronger activity in brain areas linked to addiction compared to generic content. AI allows platforms to target your specific triggers, fears, and desires.
So it's not just clever design anymore, it's algorithms making that design incredibly personally effective for me.
Exactly. And this is leading researchers to talk about algorithmic addiction. The negative impacts are becoming clearer, especially for kids and teens. We're seeing links to lower life satisfaction, more anxiety and depression symptoms, worse sleep, more time sitting sedentary, and even, impacting real-world social skills. The constant pressure can lead to serious stress and burnout, too.
It really sounds like these EPDs, these engagement-prolonging designs, are just everywhere online. Did the research confirm how widespread they are?
Completely pervasive. The research we looked at found that 100%, every single one of the very large online platforms studied used EPD features. And here's a really telling finding. Social media platforms use twice as many EPDs compared to e-commerce sites or information platforms. It really shows how central this constant attention capture is to their specific business model. Across the board, pressuring and lulling design seem to be the most common tactics used.
Wow, so it's not just one tricky design feature, it's like a whole toolbox they're using, often all at once. How do these strategies work together?
That's a crucial point. They rarely work in isolation. They create these powerful synergistic effects, amplifying each other. The researchers identified a few ways this happens. First, chain reactions. One EPD triggers another, which triggers another, kind of funneling you deeper, like that LinkedIn example. A notification prompts you to reply, maybe using an automated suggestion, which then sends a notification to someone else, keeping the cycle going.
Yeah, you just get pulled further and further down the rabbit hole.
Exactly. Second, bombarding. This is where they just throw multiple EPDs at you simultaneously, an aggressive assault on your attention. Think about the YouTube homepage again. You've got intimate scroll, maybe a video auto-playing, unread notification badges, really provocative thumbnails trying to grab your eye, maybe picture-in-picture following you. It's just overload, designed to overwhelm any intention you had to leave.
And the third way they combine.
Fusing EPDs. This is where a single element on the screen actually combines multiple strategies, like that Booking.com example again. Maybe a pop-up shows a manufactured task, complete 3 more steps to unlock a badge. Fused with fabricated time pressure, offer ends in 5 minutes. It packs multiple punches at once. So you put all this together, the pressure, the enticement, the traps, the lulling, all working in combination, and it creates this incredibly powerful current, as the researchers described it. It just carries you along, steering you away from stopping and constantly funneling you towards more engagement. It feels effortless to go with it, but it's all by design.
Okay, This leads to a really tricky area, doesn't it? These gray patterns and what we actually do about all this. Because some of these things, like maybe a birthday reminder on Facebook, seem harmless, maybe even helpful. It creates this gray area that must make regulation incredibly difficult. How do you draw the line?
That's the challenge, absolutely.
Yeah.
Where does helpful personalization end and harmful manipulation begin? But I think it's crucial to remember, as the research points out, that just because someone is engaging doesn't mean they prefer to be engaging, especially if that engagement is manufactured.
Yeah.
There's a massive power imbalance here between the individual user and these huge platforms deploying these techniques.
So given that difficulty, what is being done? Is regulation starting to grapple with these kinds of addictive designs?
Well, the efforts are definitely ramping up globally. We mentioned the EU's push for specific rules, the UK's online safety bill, the US White House task force. There's momentum. But existing laws, even relatively new ones like the EU's Digital Services Act, DSA, and Digital Markets Act, DMA, while they address some dark patterns, they don't really tackle the core issue of addictive design head-on yet. It's often indirect.
And in the US, there's the whole debate around Section 230, right? The law that shields platforms from liability for user content.
Exactly. Section 230 is a huge piece of the puzzle in the US. Critics argue it effectively protects platforms from accountability for the harms facilitated by their designs, including addictive features. So there's a lot of talk about amending it. Beyond that, there's also a growing argument for using competition policy antitrust law. Some experts suggest that breaking up big tech companies or structurally separating social media platforms from their parent companies could change the underlying financial incentives that drive them towards hyper-addictive designs in the first place.
Interesting. So tackling the business model itself, not just tweaking the specific designs.
That's the idea for some, address the root cause. But it's not just about top-down regulation. The research also proposes practical counter-designs. What could platforms do differently if they genuinely wanted to support user autonomy, especially for younger users?
Right. What would that actually look like? Can you give some concrete examples of these autonomy-supporting designs?
Sure. The research lays out quite a few. Things like reducing time and social pressures, maybe give users options for ephemeral content to last longer if they want, or have a simple one-click toggle to turn off all notifications at once. Easy opt-outs. It could mean getting rid of those platform-manufactured tasks and ad notifications entirely, prohibiting those guilt-tripping anthropomorphic interfaces, especially for minors. Maybe allowing users to easily turn off reinforcement schedules like a switch to hide all accounts, disable daily rewards, turn off snap streaks.
So basically putting real, easy-to-use control back in the hands of the user.
Exactly. It could also mean more human oversight of content and thumbnails to filter out deceptive clickbait. Clearer interfaces with obvious stopping points, maybe even integrating clocks prominently, making account deletions simple and straightforward. For minors specifically, maybe autoplay should be off by default. Give options to switch off algorithmic feeds entirely and use chronological ones instead. Options to disable those auto-filled suggestive search terms. These are all concrete design choices platforms could make to prioritize user well-being over maximizing engagement time.
That really would be a radical shift from what we see now.
It would be. And, it's really important to stress, while helping users become more aware of these techniques is good, user education alone just isn't enough. You can't expect individuals to constantly fight this uphill battle against multi-billion-dollar companies using incredibly sophisticated psychological manipulation. The power imbalance is just too vast. It's like asking someone to single-handedly resist a tidal wave just by knowing it's coming.
Wow. Okay. What a deep dive indeed. It seems so clear, listening to all this, that the addictive pull of these platforms, especially social media, it's not just some unfortunate side effect. It's really a deliberate result of the business model, executed through incredibly sophisticated, psychologically informed design, all engineered to capture and hold our attention.
Yeah. These designs systematically play on our emotions, our cognitive biases, our social needs. They consistently reward engagement and make disengagement feel difficult or costly. It creates that powerful current just pulling us along, often against what we might actually want or intend.
Which really leaves us with a huge question, doesn't it? If these incredibly powerful systems are engineered to shape our attention, our choices, our time, what does free choice even mean in this digital context? And maybe more importantly, what responsibility do we all have as users, as parents, as citizens to push for a digital environment that's healthier, more humane, especially for the next generation? Perhaps just understanding these hidden mechanisms, like we've discussed today, is that crucial first step toward reclaiming some control.